sounds nice.
Yeah, that isolated it nicely. I was going to use 2 socks, one on each side, but I think there's not enough room. Boy, is that ever going to look ridiculous. Somebody's going to walk in and say, "What are you doing? Why doesn't your drum have a front head? And why is there a sock jammed into the boot?" Okay. Well, theoretically, we could do anything we want to in 8 tracks, but we have to do a lot of balancing. And every time we do, there's something that we can't go back and change without re-recording something.
Oh, I made that mistake a long time ago. I guess we should go with the 16 tracks then.
Yeah, let's do a 16-track mode and stick with a lower resolution. I think I should just accept that this is a 16-bit recording console. 24-bit is useful for recording acoustic instruments.
Yeah.
And the song where we probably should have used 24-bit is the one we just did in 16 because we needed all the extra tracks.
Okay.
Ultimately, I think the best advice would be to get something like that thing we saw in the music store that has 8 mic inputs and has the faders to control Cubase.
Oh, that'd be a wonderful thing to have.
The only problem is my computer makes a lot of noise. You'd hear it in the background of every recording. You'd have to have the computer in a separate room.
I got a quiet computer at home and I got a Cubase on it, so I might have to invest in that one day.
I'm gonna do one of these days. Just to get with the times.
Yeah.
Well, this involves spending a lot of money, and right now I just can't justify spending the money. Like one of the Macintosh computers that uses a passive convection cooling system that doesn't have any fan in it.
Oh.
You can get a rack-mounted kit. Actually, you know, the best audio interface I saw is one where it's a PCI card that you put in your computer, and then it comes with a bay that has 8 inputs, and it can take up to 48 inputs. So later on, you can get another bay so that you have a total of 16 inputs, and you can record up to 24 tracks simultaneously. But when you're using Cubase, you have 48 tracks to work with, no matter what, right?
I think you might have more, but I'm not sure. But yeah.
Yeah, 48 or 128 or whatever.
Yeah.
So a PCI-based system. The best audio interfaces are the ones that install in the computer itself, but then you want to get like our nice, tough, rack-mounted computer with a very quiet fan. Ultimately, I would like to do it on one of those Macintosh computers and just use a FireWire-based audio interface.
Mm-hmm.
Give myself 16 tracks of input. That's good enough to record any band without making any sacrifices. I mean, unless the guy's got a drum kit that 2 kick drums and 8 toms and
one of those.
4 snare drums and 10 cymbals where you have to have 4 mic overheads. But I don't have enough mics to do that anyway. But probably the best thing would be to use one of those Macintoshes because they don't make a lot of noise. I don't have the luxury of working in a studio with a soundproof control booth, so I can't have any noise made by the computer. And then get one of those things that acts as a remote, because that's the cheapest way to do it. That acts as a remote and has the faders on it, and also has the audio interface, because then you're getting the whole thing all at once.
Yeah.
And then we can do it track by track with the 48 tracks, and we can play it as much as we want to and tweak it as much as we want to.
That works.
But there's always something better than what you have that you want more than what you've got. That thing really is the best thing I've ever worked with. I think I'm just going to make the sacrifice of doing everything in 16-bit depth, because it is good enough. It's the same bit depth as the finished product. It's just that when you're mastering, you get more flexibility working in 24-bit mode, because honestly, in 24-bit mode, you have like an additional 12 freaking decibels above Unity, so you don't need to worry as much about peaking.
Well then, if we're working in 24 tracks, then we can do our recording in stereo.
Well, 16 tracks, you mean?
Yeah.
24-bit is the higher resolution, but we only have 8 tracks to work with in 24-bit. And you can do anything in 8 tracks, but with a whole lot of extra work being made for post-production.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and do this one in 16-bit mode, and we'll just do all of our songs in 16-bit mode, because even though it's not nearly as awesome, it is still somewhat acceptable.
Okay. So, here's this chord, ToneWorks. I was going to use this to do the recording 10 years gone, but there's this really loud ground loop, a lot of buzzing, so we're just going to go directly into that device there, and that has some amp and cabinet simulators in there that pretty much do the same thing as the ToneWorks. I guess plugging it in directly is going to sound a whole lot better. It'll sound a lot cleaner. You can do the same thing, so That's what we're gonna do for 10 years gone. Oh, apparently methylphenidate's supposed to give a person a lot of energy, so Dave's in the bathroom right now, but we'll see what happens in about 15 minutes. He wanted to have a nap about 5 minutes ago, but I don't think we'll be talking about that because we'll be pretty busy in the next couple hours.
Alright, now this is just a drum test.
Okay.
Drum. And also I'm testing how things sound. Snare drum. I think I'm going to avoid the rim shots at high volume because that's annoying. And then cymbal test. And then play the guitar for a little bit. Probably not ready yet. I still feel tired and lethargic and apathetic, only I also feel really, really stoned.
That's funny.
Ritalin is awesome. Although strangely enough, I'm not talking to myself now. I mean, I am, but I'm aware that I am.
See, this is what happens when I give Dave the methylphenidate, and these are the effects. He's actually behind the drums now, and he's anxious to do work.
I am. I actually have work ethic now. I've been drugged into becoming socially acceptable.
I should give Dave some of these things more often.